Today we have Toby Hoenisch, the CEO of TenX, and welcome, Toby.
It's good to be
Say
here.
hi to the community.
Hey everyone, it's really good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yep, sure. And by the way, if you guys have any question for Toby, just hashtag 10x and then put your question in. I'm looking at the chat room live right now. So Toby, first of all, how are you enjoying the whole event?
It's been great. I just got off the panel talking about the future of crypto payments.
The future of crypto payments.
Yeah, that's what we do.
Talk a little bit more about it. I heard you guys have the credit card system in place, and 10x is trying to build a whole, connect the crypto world to the real world fiat currency. How does that work?
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty accurate what you just said. We're focused on helping people get in and out of the crypto world, and we're today best known for our TenX card. It's a Visa card, and it allows you to spend cryptocurrencies for day-to-day purchases anywhere where there's a Visa terminal, essentially.
Okay, cool. I know it's lots of challenges within the financial world, and specifically, how are you able to work with Visa and all those huge payment gateway?
It's an interesting question. For us, it has always been about doing things the right way, and compliance allows us, a good focus on compliance allows us to work efficiently with these partners, such as Visa. We're now financially regulated in Europe, and we're working closely with the regulator here in Singapore as well. There's a new license coming early next year, and we'll be regulated under that as well.
What kind of license?
The one that's coming here is called the Payment Service Act, and it's really to regulate cryptocurrencies and all the businesses around that. In Europe, we have an e-money license.
Okay, cool. So I know 10x has been live for since early 2015, and then changed your name in 2017. So within those years, how's the adoption rate going? And how many people are currently using 10x credit card and the whole system?
It's a great question, and I like it much more than the questions about price, because price always has a lot of speculation. Mm-hmm. What I'm much more excited about is exactly that, is about adoption. So yep. I look at how people are using cryptocurrencies day to day, not only our own numbers, but also the entire industry. And the truth is, even though you have these huge price swings, adoption is very steadily growing between 80 to 100% year over year. So I remember when in 2012, 13, you go to a Bitcoin meetup and there's 4 people, and now you have entire conferences. And this is the peak. These are the experts that you see here, right? But there is masses of people that are starting to use cryptocurrencies, such as the 10x card, then for day-to-day purchases.
Okay, so what are the top currency that has been adopted within the 10x ecosystem?
We are really
BTC
focused on we're really focused on the new people. Like you mentioned, there is tons of choice, right, in terms of cryptocurrencies and tokens. And because we're really focused on new people coming in, they are mainly asking for Bitcoin and Ethereum today. That's already 90% of the requests.
And so other than those two major cryptocurrency, is there any other options?
Right now we also have Litecoin, and we're looking at what do we want to add next. But the truth is, it gets really small. The user groups for each one getting smaller and smaller, and they're more advanced too. So we really see our strengths on the ease of use, the security, and really having a good product. And we're not so much focused on the advanced features that really what we call them crypto masters, the experts are asking. So the crypto experts, they're asking for they want every single coin, right? They want a convenient. No, I think it's good. And the truth is that our industry enables that. It allows you to do these things yourself. So we offer something for new people, but you're not locked in. This is the difference about traditional finance, where if you have your money in a bank account, you can only use services from that bank. And it's because they're a private bank, they can offer you what they think is right, and if they make enough money. But because we're in crypto, if you want to use another service, you can just withdraw. You can literally send cryptocurrency in real time to another wallet. You can use DeFi products, and all of this is interoperable, and that's not necessarily true. If you want to create something in the traditional finance world, it's really difficult and slow.
But a lot of people want to just being able to use, for example, BNB or Lino or any type of tokens in the real life user case scenario other than Bitcoin and Ethereum?
No, I think I agree with you. There is these user groups. The question I would have for you, would you describe your users as like really your new users, or are they more advanced users? Like if I think about Binance, for example, Binance is a trading platform.
Yep.
And there is these are like experts in, they probably, like Binance has, I think, hundreds of tokens, right? And there should be solutions like that. It's just that we're focused a little bit more on the new users and getting that really right, getting the ease of use right. And the reason for that is because when you look at, you asked before on adoption, I think we're just on the brink of mainstream adoption. And when you ask them why they haven't bought,
how do they define mainstream adoption?
Like 50% of the population starting to use cryptocurrencies.
Okay.
So today,
that's pretty aggressive.
Yeah. So today I would say we're at like 5 to 15%, depending on the survey or depending on the country, of people having some form of cryptocurrency. But to get it to mass adoption, it's really solving the questions of security, solving the questions of ease of use, solving the question of like why people don't have crypto yet. And that's what we want to focus on. These other features, these new tokens that give you more advanced features, people will learn. They start usually with Bitcoin and Ether, and then they learn, and they learn about other services, such as your own, such as Binance. And I think this is a natural progression. And we should make these things available. It's just that we need to solve this problem first, in my opinion.
What about like region-wise or country-wise? You always mention about you want to target the new users in the crypto space. Which country or which region appears to have the most new users in the space?
This is quite an interesting question because in different countries, people are starting to use cryptocurrencies differently. Sometimes more as an investment, sometimes as an inflation hedge, sometimes really to solve just day-to-day finance problems such as remittance, sometimes as payments. So a general answer is difficult, but I think an interesting answer is about like where you can use our products, for example. So our focus is on Asia and Europe. So for people in the audience, if you're in Asia, you can order the card in Singapore, Hong Kong, Australia, New Zealand, Philippines, and Thailand.
Not mainland China.
Not yet. That's a difficult market. It's its own market. And we're right now getting ready for our Europe launch early next year, Q1.
Cool. So fee structure-wise, what's the differences between TenX and traditional financial instruments?
The truth is that there is like, in the traditional world, fees is what define which product you use, right? But cryptocurrency, it's really about the capabilities. It's being able to use cryptocurrencies is today the differentiator. I think price will play a role in the future, but just the fact that you can use crypto already saves you from a lot of fees in the traditional world. So for example, if I can use my TenX card everywhere in the world and I get like a rate to local always, I don't have to worry about foreign exchange rates, which in some places are okay, and some places are really, really bad. So for some users, that's a huge advantage. For some, it doesn't really matter. It really depends on what kind of product you have access. But I would say price does not differentiate for like the average, but for some users it does. But for most people, it's just the capabilities of being able to spend cryptocurrencies today.
It doesn't differentiate. Does it mean it's at the same level or higher?
Well, it's different, right? It's like a bank doesn't allow you to spend Bitcoin. It doesn't allow you to interact with Bitcoin at all.
Yeah.
So
I mean, if it's a little bit higher, I understood, because you have to, transact the token. You have to sell a token from the back end.
The question is, what are you comparing it to, right?
Yeah.
So if you're saying, if I want to spend Bitcoin, what's the fees? Then that's just not possible in traditional finance world.
Yep.
If you were comparing it to buying Bitcoin and then transacting, then it depends on where you bought and where you spent. So you can acquire Bitcoin fairly cheaply in some places, and then you can spend it with a 10x card fairly efficiently with not very high fees, which can be competitive to local products. But if you're talking about getting your money into a local card, spending it locally, then it's probably not competitive.
Cool, I see. So is there any update for your prepaid Visa card?
Like I mentioned before, the biggest update is that we're launching in Europe towards end of the year, early the year. For most people, it will be available in Q1, but we're getting the cards rolled out towards end of the year already.
Cool, cool. And another thing, it's like, is there something you like to address to our audience yourself? A lot of our audience are pretty new to the blockchain space, and they might never heard about TenX before. They have very limited cryptocurrency. Any advice for them?
Yeah, so for me, I've been in the space for a long time, and I'm super excited to getting more people in. TenX is one of the products you can use. I mentioned the countries before. Europe is on our roadmap. In Asia, you can already get it today. If you have cryptocurrency, it's definitely something you can do. The more general message I want to give to people is just to read up more on crypto. Like, what we're building here as an industry is really the future of finance. I call crypto programmable money because it really represents a new way of finance. So I mentioned before that the traditional way with money is always private institutions. This was a technical limitation. We had to trust someone else because otherwise digitally we could just copy stuff, right? If I send you a picture, you can copy it and send it somewhere else. With cryptocurrency, finally solved this problem, which is a technical problem, but it's more than a technical solution. It allows us to have, like, programmable money at its core allows us to build a global economy that is truly digital, that allows us to transact anywhere and to access any financial service that we want. Now, we're still in the early stage of this, right? Don't get me wrong. Don't expect like every service you find to be 100 times better than what's already out there. But the truth is those services can grow much faster because they have access to like the world, to the global economy. And that's what's really fascinating, and that's why we're moving so fast.
So let's talk about the future. So within the next decade, what do you foresee will happen in the blockchain industry?
The first thing is we're going to get to mainstream adoption. But I think that's just a building block. It's like getting people on the internet. It's like getting people to have some form of cryptocurrency. May that be a stable coin. I see initiatives such as in China where it might be a central bank coin, or it might be tech companies like Facebook with Libra. The second trend, I think, is that it will create a lot of competition. It will create competition not only on the service level, where we expect it to be able to do better payments, faster payments, cheaper payments, or any service gets better and cheaper, but also on money itself. And this will be something new. It will mean that suddenly you're not only used to having that one currency in your country, but it will be a choice of currencies, not only overseas currencies, but also maybe private money like Libra from a tech company, or from private banks issuing stable coins, or like the whole range to then ICO tokens, to on the other side where we already had innovation with loyalty points and air miles. All of this will create massive choice for consumers, how they want to transact with which services, but also how they want to invest their money and how they want to like associate and use their money. And I think that's really exciting. So in 10 years, I don't know how the world is going to look like. All I know is that it will be more. But is that going to be
still Bitcoin dominancy, or?
I think Bitcoin will continue to compete with national currencies. Which one will win is a very hard time to tell at this point. What I think all of these categories will exist. Your central bank coins, your cryptocurrencies, and I think actually we're going to see a lot more new things that we can't expect yet. Like you mentioned Binance before, like we also have our own token, the TenX token. We are innovating on like paying interest, paying rewards, like different structures of innovation on money itself. And I think this is just the starting point. I think we're going to see different fundraising opportunities, and essentially we're going to create a global economy on the internet that isn't broken down by like which bank you use or which currency you use. It's just going to be part of that industry, and you don't have to worry about it anymore.
Cool. And here's one very interesting question. Excuse me. So why would people use Bitcoin or Ethereum to make daily purchases?
I think you should split this into two questions.
Like,
why do they own
Bitcoin?
it?
Okay,
why do they own it? And then when they own it, should they spend it?
Because most of people are using Bitcoin as a store of value. For example, like 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I spent like $30 of Bitcoin in a Korean restaurant, and then now it worth like 500 or something. So why would I spend Bitcoin as my daily purchases?
I mean, there's two ways to look at this. The first one I want to point out is like, you should be able to spend cryptocurrencies, because if you can't spend them, then like, what are they valued for? You still have to be able to interact with the real world. Now, how much you spend that, it should be your discretion, right?
Not necessarily. Look at gold. Gold, it's priced based on the market, but I cannot spend gold on the market.
But do you hold gold?
No.
But you can hold cryptocurrencies, and you can actually solve multiple problems at the same time, because you're completely right. Cryptocurrencies, for a big degree, are store of value, are investment opportunities, and they're treated as such. But because this industry is so open, different players are coming in to solve different problems, right? So there is exchanges that help you invest and help you trade with different cryptocurrencies. We help you spend, and we're not particular if you're spending Bitcoin or a stable coin or whatever you might want to hold in form of value in the future. You just have to be part of this industry, and that is, I think, is the important part. Like, we're looking actively into stable coins, which would already be more seamless than your US dollar. Like, the one question I always ask, I'm curious on your opinion on that. You have an iPhone?
Yes.
Yes, I have an Android phone. And if we go into the future, you ask 10 years, and let's say it's seamlessly interoperable. I can send you $5, and it might even convert into your own currency seamlessly from Android Pay to Apple Pay. Like, how did it happen? And the only answer I can think of is crypto, is programmable money, because is Apple gonna work with Google and come up with a collaboration? Very hard to think of that. Is the government tell them to work together? Also kind of hard to think of that. But if you have a neutral ground, if you have like an open, accessible cryptocurrency, and that could be Bitcoin, that can be a stable coin, then I can see it happen, because users already want crypto today. And they're asking Apple, like, can you add it? Now, it's a minority asking today, but with increasing adoption, I can see Apple Pay adding a cryptocurrency. And then suddenly we are interoperable and compatible and can work together, much more seamless. Because today, the truth is, if I want to give you $5, I give it to you in cash. It's the most easy way, right? But everything else is digital.
Yep. Agree. I think that's it so much for our time today. And I really like your opinion on how the whole blockchain world will go. And financially, like the instruments, the solution that you are putting in the industry, I think it's very meaningful. And hopefully we can get one of those cards. Thank you.
Awesome. Very good.
Thank you, Toby.
Thanks for having me, and get your TenX card.